everybody and welcome to this video on functions. In this video, we're having a look at reflections. So we will look at the reflections about three different axes for functions. So the first one we will look at is when y is equal to 0. That is the equation of the x-axis. So it's a reflection about the x-axis, which means the x-axis is like a mirror. And the rule that we follow is we're going to then calculate minus f of x, which requires us to change the sign of y or f of x. The second one is x is equal to 0, which is a reflection about the y-axis. So for this one here, we're going to have to calculate f of minus x, which we have to change the sign of x. The last one is about the reflection about the line y is equal to x. And for this one here, we will have to get f negative 1x, which is the inverse. So let us have a look at an example of reflecting these graphs. So I'm first going to draw this graph over here. So let's draw it. So I'm going to use the table method. I can already tell what type of graph this is. This is an exponential graph. How do I know it's an equation of an exponential graph? Is that x is in the exponent. So it's an exponential graph and our a is positive and we have an asymptote at y is equal to q, which is 0. If you're uncertain about how I'm getting this information, please watch our previous videos on the exponential graph. So this graph over here has an asymptote at y is equal to 0. Okay, and what we then gonna have also is I'm gonna draw a little bit of a table here so that we can plot some coordinates. So for x and y, I normally just choose about 3, minus 1, 0, and 1, and 3 to the power of minus 1 is a third. 3 to the power of 0 is 1, and 3 to the power of 1 is 3. So I'm just going to plot that at minus 1. At minus 1, it is a third, which is somewhere there. So this is 1. Oops, that's too small to be 2. Okay, that doesn't look like the eraser. Okay, the eraser is malfunctioning. So this here is 1. Here we'll make 2. And this one here is 3. Here again we have 1, 2. Okay, we only need that. So at negative 1, it's a third. So it will go through that point. At 0, it's 1. And at 1, it is 3. So it's exactly the shape you'd expect. It's the positive shape of a exponential graph. It goes down, up, and it's quite steep. Okay, let me erase the calculation ones. Okay. Okay, so that's the graph of 3 to the power of x. Okay, so now what I want to do is go ahead and calculate the reflection about the x-axis. So the reflection about the x-axis. So the reflection about the x-axis is the reflection about x-axis, and the equation for the x-axis is y is equal to 0. So if they're asking you for the reflection about the line y is equal to 0 or the x-axis, it's the same thing. And what did we say our rule is? The rule is to change the sign of y. So change the sign of y. In other words, we're calculating f of minus f of x. So minus f of x is, sorry, this is actually g of x. We're working with g of x because our graph, oops, in this case here is g. So g of x, so we're going to put a minus and then we're going to put g of x, and g of x is 3x, and then that is the equation of our graph. This graph here has an a value that's negative and an asymptote still at y is equal to 0. So if we had to plot this graph, and it's an exponential graph still. So if we have to plot this graph's equation, okay, Again, I like to choose the first 3 minus 1, 0, 1, and then we plot y. So now we'll get 3 to the power of 1 is minus a third, minus 1, and minus 3. So that minus changes the sign of all of our y coordinates. So we'll plot that at, so the first one now is minus a third. So the first one now is at minus a third. And then the second one is at minus 1. And then the third one is at minus 3. So 1 and minus 3. So that's minus 3, that's minus 2, minus 1. So now if we join the dots, what we get is this beautiful graph over here. And you'll see this is a reflection about the x-axis. So can you see it is the x-axis has been used as a mirror, and that is the reflection of the x-axis. Let's have a look at the other one, which is a reflection about the y-axis. So the y-axis, the equation is x is equal to 0. So we're going to change the sign of x. Okay, so let us then calculate. So in other words, we want to get, let me change the color. Or not, let's just do it in white then. So we're looking for g of minus x, okay? So g of minus x means in the place of x, we're going to write minus x, so it's 3 of minus x, which you can write as a third to the power of x to make the power positive exponent. So this is the inverse. So if we plotting this one over here, our graph, again, I like to take minus 1, 0, and 1. So now what we have is 3 to the power of minus 1 is 3 to the power of 1. So that is actually 3. 3 to the power of 0 is 1. And 3 to the power of 1 minus 1 is a third. So let's plot these points over here. So at minus 1, it's 3. At 0, it's still 1, and at 1, it is a third. So if I join this graph now, you'll see it's a reflection about the y-axis. So now the y-axis is the mirror. Okay, for the reflection about the line y is equal to x, please watch our inverse function series where we will go through that in a lot of detail. I hope you have understood this question and this section. Please have a look at the video again if you have not. If you have, please move on to more videos of our series.